In the early 1800s, railroads had just begun to lace Europe together. Streets glowed under brand new gas lamps, and steam-powered printing presses churned out sheet music cheap enough for any family parlor. Composers surveyed this restless, accelerating world and decided that the polite balance of Mozart's era was yesterday's news. They sought louder sounds, deeper feelings, and bigger ideas, goals which still shape film scores and pop ballads today. Five forces drove this revolution: virtuosity, emotionality, nationalism, harmony, and technology. First came sheer virtuosity, music written to push human technique so far that the performer became half athlete, half magician. No one embodied this better than the Hungarian pianist Franz Liszt, who toured Europe so ferociously in the 1840s that piano makers reinforced their instruments with iron just to withstand his thunderous octaves. Audiences fainted. Critics coined the word Lisztomania, and Liszt kept spare locks of his own hair in his coat because fans lunged for souvenirs. On the violin, Italian phenomenon Niccolo Paganini bowed, plucked, and even whistled through lightning-fast runs, sparking rumors that he had an extra finger, or perhaps a deal with the devil, and ticket sales only climbed. Even composers writing for orchestra were caught up. French visionary Hector Berlioz asked for harp parts so intricate that 3 separate auditions failed before he grudgingly simplified a few notes. If virtuosity gave the era its flash, emotionality supplied its heat. Berlioz's own Symphonie Fantastique, written in 1830, built an entire 5-movement drama around an artist who dreamed of murdering the woman he loved and then witnessed his own execution. Real church bells tolled, and offstage brass roared, turning the concert hall into an auditory nightmare. Polish-born Friedrich Chopin aimed in the opposite direction, yet hit just as hard. He distilled heartbreak into piano preludes so brief that one lasted barely 40 seconds. And at the century's end, Austrian conductor-composer Gustav Mahler needed a full 90 minutes plus choir and organ to take listeners from a funeral march to cosmic rebirth in his Resurrection Symphony. Even the public learned new reactions. When Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky premiered his Pathetique Symphony in St. Petersburg, the closing whisper was so bleak that the hall sat frozen for 10 long seconds before remembering to applaud. As Europe's map kept shifting, composers channeled nationalism, weaving folk songs, dances, and landscapes into concert works that proclaimed, "This is my homeland." Czech composer Bedřich Smetana turned the river Vltava into a flowing string melody that Prague listeners instantly recognized. Norwegian Edvard Grieg tucked mountain fiddle dances and shepherd calls into gentle piano pieces, giving foreign audiences a taste of fjord country. Finnish master Jean Sibelius hid ancient rune melodies inside lush tone poems, slipping national pride past Russian censors. And traveling further afield, the Czech symphonist Antonin Dvorak visited the United States and heard black spirituals and train whistles. He folded both into his New World Symphony, arguing that America already possessed a distinctive musical voice. Beneath the fireworks of technique and patriotism, romantic composers stretched harmony, the way chords stacked and flowed until the old classical rules creaked. They leapt between keys a third apart, so-called chromatic medians, letting Chopin pivot from calm C major to glowing A flat in a single bar. They savored the bite of augmented sixth chords, spicy dissonances that German dramatist Richard Wagner piled high before finally resolving, making listeners feel anticipation in their bones. Wagner also dropped a 4-note cluster in his opera Tristan und Isolde, later famous as the Tristan chord, that refused to settle and kept theorists arguing 150 years later. By 1908, Austrian modernist Arnold Schoenberg looked at this fraying tonal fabric and decided it had ripped beyond repair. Schoenberg pioneered music with no key center at all. In other words, romantic harmony pushed the envelope until the envelope disappeared. None of these changes would have spread so fast without technology. Railways let Liszt play Budapest one week and Paris the next, sending new ideas across borders. Steam-powered presses flooded Europe with affordable sheet music, so amateur pianists could try the latest pieces days after a premiere. Instruments themselves evolved. Brass instruments gained valves for full chromatic range, woodwinds sprouted extra keys, and pianos added iron frames plus longer strings for stadium-ready volume. Industry even showcased its own musical marvels. The 1851 Great Exhibition in London featured a steam-powered organ that literally hissed art, while early telephone demonstrations sent cornet solos crackling down copper lines, leaving audiences convinced a ghost was trapped in the wire. Blended, those five forces created music that was louder, longer, technically dazzling, emotionally unfiltered, proudly local, and harmonically daring, qualities which hardly faded. Modern film composers still give characters Wagner-style leitmotifs, pop producers borrow Liszt's key jumps when chorus needs a lift, and stadium ballads delay their final chord the way late romantics loved to withhold resolution. These 19th century pioneers rewrote the musical rulebooks, and we keep reading from it every time an orchestra swells under a movie hero, or a power vocalist holds a suspenseful high note. If this crash course opened your ears, you could hit like and tap subscribe so you catch the next video. Thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments below what music theory concepts we should tackle next.